Welcome to Folio, an actual play podcast about solo and epistolary TTRPGs. I'm your host, Satah, and I'm showcasing multiple possible experiences of self-paced games by inviting guests to play them alongside me so I can compile our stories together. You can support the show financially at patreon.com/foliopod or with a one-off donation at ko-fi.com/foliopod. This is episode 4 of our games of Friendly Neighborhood Superhero, a solo RPG about protecting, befriending, and improving a community by Cat Scratcher Studio. The other two helpful parish paragons joining me today are Gwen Frankenstien and Jeff Stormer.
All right, here we go. Day 3.
It is still not Thursday, and I am going to think of all days as still not Thursday, unless we happen to reach Thursday before I finish recording.
It has been a few days, IRL, maybe even a couple weeks. I'm not sure. Time is not real. After seeing how long my days were going, I reached out to the other players of the game to say, hey, I've decided that we should probably go to 7 points instead of 10. It would be much harder to have an achievement victory on this timeline. 10 points kind of, you have more time you can use XP to buy off some of the drawback points. You have more time to buy the achievement points, but they are much harder to do. And so it's likely going to be a drawback ending victory. That's the thing is, I don't feel too bad about it because it's good either way. That's one of the beautiful things about this game. It knows what it's doing. It knows the story. It wants to help you tell. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Day 3.
Starting off strong, starting our day.
I was on my day job. Yeah. Working a lot at the cafe.
That is a 1. Kelvin is enjoying his hobby when something happens. What do I think Kelvin's hobby is? I said sports. I think I mentioned this briefly, but I'm going to lean in and say that, Kelvin is very aggressively into pinball. I think, he is a pinball nut who lives above a pinball arcade. And, when he doesn't have anything to do, when he's just kind of hanging around, when he's not sort of, surfing for odd jobs or chatting with people or, walking around, I think that you will find him in this pinball arcade getting increasingly angry, just unhinged levels of anger at this particular pinball machine. And then something happens. Let's find out what that something is.
Roll a die. That's a 4. That means we're gonna solve a crime this morning.
5. This is a neighbor in need.
I was on my day job when suddenly a neighbor needs help.
Let's roll 3d20 and we'll find out who our neighbor in need is.
Rolled an 18, which is caring.
18 is caring, community leader, preparing for an important presentation.
Scientist. This makes sense. Live in a weird science town. I guess I'll roll for their age. It would be pretty funny if they are a child. I mean, I guess they could be classic, like a baby genius. But let's see. We're rolling a teenager. Yeah. So they're either a baby genius or an intern, or just big into the science fair and where sort of occupation is a little bit more general. And what do they need my help with? Rolling a d20 for their trouble. Finding their way home. Oh no.
I rolled a 3, a 5, and a 9, which means we've got the mob trying to poison the river again, this time with an elemental entity. This makes sense. Either we go Pokemon rules and poison is an element, or they've contacted a fire elemental and said, hey, help us eradicate your nemesis, the spirit of the river. I kind of like that. We're getting a little esoteric here. Mystical, metaphysical. Yeah.
This is a social media personality. This is Tyrese Kalofsky. Tyrese is like a young activist and has like mobilized a pretty considerable social media following to what do I think is like a big time small town issue. It is like reinvesting. Actually, it is arts preservation. Tyrese is a mural artist. Tyrese is a street artist. And Tyrese is like organizing a grassroots effort to like get city funds for a mural initiative. Basically, they want to like preserve a lot of the street art that is on walls. You know, in their mind, like, I work fucking hard on this stuff and I want it to live for a while longer. So they are organizing this, and I think like they are, I'm going to say, filming a video about this cause in the pinball arcade. And I think Kelvin overhears this because I know how Kelvin is going to immediately sort of pitch this. I do have to get a 6. I'm seeing, I don't think I could necessarily use my temperature control ability, so it's just going to be a 2d6 roll. I'm going to hope for a 6. I didn't get a 6. I don't have a super point. I'm just going to mark a miscalculation here.
This kid, this teen comes in and they're forlorn. They were doing a science. This is a science experiment that they were doing for the science fair. They were doing a teleportation thing. It's not that they're actually lost. It's that they lost their house. They have teleported it somewhere. They know it isn't far, but they don't know exactly where it is, and they need to find it so that they can return it. They're pretty confident they can put it back if they can get to it. But they're talking to me where I'm in civvy form, you know? I give them their decaf latte, and I'm like, "Hey, you okay, kid?" And they're like, "Yeah, you seen a house?" And I'm sort of like, "I've seen houses, yeah." And they say, "Oh, I meant a specific house, kind of, you know, appearing where it shouldn't. Never mind." And I coax the story out of them, and I'm like, "Okay, look, I heard that our friendly neighborhood superhero Orbit has been doing rounds more often, so how about I give her a call and see if she knows anything?" And the kid like lights up a little bit and is like, "Oh, that would be so great, thank you." And coincidentally, Orbit is going to show up right as I end my shift. Wow. It's too bad we missed each other, you know?
What I think the plan was here was for Kelvin to like subtly announce that, you know, he has experience meeting with Councilwoman Joella. And what Tyrese has picked up on is, in fact, that Kelvin is going to like organize a meeting with City Council, which is vastly out of Kelvin's skill set. But now Kelvin is kind of immediately in too deep.
The first thing I'm going to do is, you know, I show up in costume and I'm like, this kid, let's name this teen Sammy Neelam. Sammy is like very morose and is not like able to be super helpful because whenever I try to get more details, they just end up going like, I shouldn't tried. I'm so stupid that I blah, blah, blah. And I'm gonna like put my hand on their shoulder and be like, "Hey, this happens. Let's just focus on the fact that you made something really cool and it worked well enough to have weird consequences. We just need to deal with those consequences and then you can get back to making it work even better." And I'm trying to just calm them down or get them confident enough that they can sort of be helpful and not just like really sad. And I do that by rolling. Okay, I have 2 points in heart, so this is going to be 2d6, and one of them needs to be a 5 or a 6. I rolled a 6 and a 1. Doesn't matter. Roll a 6. I will gain a progress. They brighten up. You know, they're like, yeah, no, you're right. This is just sort of one of the things that happens in science, right? And what do they reference? They reference something that like happened with the telescope, like when they were trying to make the telescope more powerful and they accidentally lit all those satellites on fire. And I'm like, yep, that was a rough one. which was almost certainly another issue of this comic before, where I had to go up into space and put out all these space fires. Don't worry about why there's fires in space where there's no atmosphere. It was science fire, and that has different rules. Okay, so what do we do next?
So they've got a fire demon. The fire demon Asbestos. Come on, that's cool. That's a cool name for a demon. Now I believe because the mob and water poisoning are things we've dealt with before, that means we get an extra die in the pool for this, which is probably going to be helpful. Because what the heck do I, a person who can communicate with dogs, know about elemental spirits? Not much, I say.
So Kelvin's got to think of a way to, make this meeting happen. Kelvin, reluctantly kind of agrees to this, right? We're going to, by the way, take an experience point for failing that roll. And I think I know how Kelvin is going to solve this. And it's going to involve me picking up 5 dice. And it's going to involve using the established, not great reputation of Thermal within the city to cause some calamitous trouble. And potentially, draw out city council and draw out the authorities so that Tyrese can kind of sneak their way in. I think that's gonna be the play. And I'm very, very excited about that. I'm going to give this a roll. I've got 5 dice here because I do think this is going to be a use of my power. This is temperature control. I think this is power, not skill. So I'm going to be rolling 3 dice. I am going for a 6 because it is resisted. And that's a 6 and 2 twos. Great. Okay. I'm going to mark success on that. I'm going to get a progress on that. Also, I get an experience point because that was a resisted roll.
I think the next thing is going to be asking the kid to show me what they built. Presumably they have part of it with them and part of it was at their house or something. Maybe they were trying to teleport to their house and they thought it just didn't work. And then they got home and they were like, my house is gone. But it didn't just teleport to me. So it's not like it just reversed. Well, now I don't know. And so I'm just going to sit down with them and look at their weird little device and go through the calculations with them to try and see if I can glean something from that. And I think that this is probably a mind roll, isn't it? Oops. Well, yeah, for sure. Analyzing, calculating. That's okay. I have 1 in mind. So I'm going to roll 1d6. And this is resisted because of the kid being impressed by heart. So I'm going to roll 1d6 and it has to be a 6. Can I use my signature ability at this somehow? No, that's all right. It was a 1. Very much not a 6. So I'm going to mark a point of miscalculation. And I think what that looks like is I accidentally trigger the device again. We're looking through the code and I am trying to scroll to look at some numbers and accidentally hit execute, and it zaps and the kid's like, don't, and it has teleported again. And Sammy just takes the device back from me and is like, yeah, okay. I mean, it probably didn't get worse, right? Hopefully. I mean, maybe it's just back where it should be. Let's go look, I guess. And I'm like, yep, okay.
I'm just going to lay it out like it is. Kelvin has lied to Tyrese and told them that they are going to be able to have a meeting with city council at this time. And then Thermal caused the problem and caused a minor explosion, lit a fireball, and, did some ill planned stunt work and has distracted security around City Hall. But the problem is that now, the very logistical problem is that now Thermal has to evade City Hall security. I'm going to roll 5 dice on this because I do think it's skill. And I think I'm going to be able to roll with my power because I'm rocking, I can envision some ice slicks and an entire kind of stunt sequence where Thermal is goading people on and then they're slipping on ice or freezing water to create walls for people. So I am rolling 5 dice. If I don't get a 6 here, I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to lose my shit.
I think what I'm going to do is tell them to head towards their house. They're going to hop on their little bike that is probably like, it's an e-bike in that like they invented a little motor to go on it that is like solar powered because they're cool as hell. And I'm going to tell them to like head back to see if their house is now where it's supposed to be. And I am going to, I want to get up on a tall building and like take a look around, which is difficult because it's very tall and therefore I have to very carefully use my abilities. And then once I'm up there, I'll figure out what I'm doing. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up on this tall building and then we'll see what we're doing from there. So I have 3 points in skill and I'm using my ability. So that's 46. It is resisted, so one of them has to be a 6. 3, 2, 3, 2. Nope. Okay, so that is an experience point. That's an experience point. I'm cornered by like Bell City Police security guards. I think that's the complication, right? Like that's a pretty straightforward complication, and it's one that frankly I know how Thermal is going to get out of, and it's not going to be great, but you know what? Like this hero's developing an identity, and I'm really okay with that. I'm going to roll 3 dice here, 1 for power, 2 for my signature ability. Big fire explosion, sneak out the back, duck, weave, evade. That is an additional experience point for rolling a contested roll, and a second point of progress. And I think I could probably go for a 3rd dice. I mean, with how I've been rolling at these neighbor challenges, I'm going to need all the dice that I can get.
Using my real world brain, if I had to try to fight something I didn't know anything about, I would try to do research. But considering how poorly research has gone for me in this game, although I suppose I would be rolling 4 dice. Fuck it, I'm doing some research. I'm going to ye olde occult bookshop, seeing what I can learn about fire demons and river spirits. One of those was a success, so I'm taking that.
I can't get up on the building. Why is that? Maybe after all of the destruction that I've been causing recently, people are adding hostile architecture but for superheroes. Just like things that make it really difficult for me to like get around, and I will figure out how to get around them. But I don't know how to yet, and so I can't get up on the building that would be best to like have a wide view of the area.
I think at this moment I need to come up with a plan. Like I've got the security on the run, so like Tyrese can roll up without a problem, but like Councilwoman Joelle is still not going to meet with them, and I need to figure out a way for her to come out and meet with them. And I think so that's going to have to be mine to like think of a plan and execute on the plan to get Councilwoman Joella out of her office so she crosses paths with Tyrese at the exact moment that they're showing up for this meeting. That is, I'm going to throw my temperature control into the ring here because I think that that's effectively pulling the fire alarm to get her out of her office. That's 4 dice. I need to get a 6 here. Oh, and that's 2 6s. That's what we needed. Listen, I have not been rolling great at these neighbor challenges, and so every success that I get truly feels special to me. Okay, great.
I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm like, okay, if I can't get up there to see, I'm going to tap into a local private radio line where people like report these problems to each other, kind of like listening to a police radar, except I think that I've already said there aren't police. But there are people who have like a private channel, and I am going to try and hack into it. Not hack exactly. Here's the way that I'm going to justify having this be a skill roll that uses my signature ability. I have learned that I can pull signals. I can go near a satellite or a phone line or whatever, something that is transmitting some of this data. And I can use my gravity manipulation to pull it in a way that like, I have to also like awkwardly hold my phone up to it, but I can pull the signal into my phone in a way that means it gets translated and I can hear it with my Bluetooth earbuds. This is not a stretch. This is superheroes. I'm gonna roll 4d6, and one of them has to be a 6. 6, 5, 3, 1. Well, it worked. Because it's a good plan, it's a normal plan, it's a plan that would work in real life, using your gravity to distort a signal so that it can go into your phone, and your phone can translate that to your off-brand AirPods. It would work in real life. You can try it.
So, we've got 3 progress. Do I go for a roll here? I think I'm going to go for a heart. And I think I'm going to roll 3 dice here. I'm going to invoke my signature ability. I'm going to try and quickly extinguish the fire. And I think I'm going to try and make a connection with Councilwoman Joella. She clearly probably doesn't have the highest picture of me on account of the whole thing that happened last time, but I think if I reveal my identity to her, she might be on board with this. That's 3 dice. I need a 5 or a 6. And that is 1 6. That's all I need. That is a success. I don't gain an experience point for this, but I do gain a 4th point of progress. Thermo drops down, takes off the mask as she's leaving, quickly snaps his fingers, puts out the fire, and it's hey, listen, I need to talk to you, okay? I need to talk to you. There's a kid. They're putting together something special. It's a program. I think it's got a lot of potential. And I think she stops dead in her tracks and is just are you telling me that you caused public destruction, started a fire in City Hall, and drove me out of my office, cornered me after what I believe to be an attempted kidnapping? You know full well that that was not an attempted kidnapping, okay? You know full well that was some kind, you saw whatever monster that was in a portal, yeah? You're right. There was clearly a monster in a portal. We saw a beacon rise up in the air. But I also know the official story that you told authorities and the news. And so, forgive me if my messaging is a little backwards. Okay, just hear me out. Meet with the kid. Let them know that you're listening. If you feel good about the pitch, bring it to city council. And I'll back off and I'll leave you alone.
And so, yes, I listen. I'm able to listen. And have they spotted anything? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I know what it is. It's I hear somebody talking about an anomalous reading that they've just seen, wondering if they report a small earthquake or something, but say that they're not in the area. They're asking somebody to go check it out. And I recognize the voice. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to directly contact that person and ask what the reading was, because I'm pretty sure it was a house landing in a field. So this is going to be a heart roll. You know what? I'm going to say that I'm using my signature ability because I'm not calling them directly. I am hopping onto this frequency, this private channel. And so I have to keep the signal distorted into my phone. And so I am using my signature ability. And I think this is a heart thing because I'm trying to be hey, it's Orbit, by the way. Can you tell me where it is, or can we at least meet so that you can tell me where it is? I think I might know what's happening, and I think it would really help out this kid that I ran into. And this is me trying to convince them that I'm trustworthy, even though I just popped onto their secret radio channel. And I'm gonna roll 3d6, and one of them has to be a 5 or 6. 5, 1, 2. I did it. Going up to 3 progress. And I think part of what this is that they're surprised to hear me, but they're oh, Orbit, we didn't know that you had access to this channel. And I think I'm not the best liar, which is funny for someone with a secret identity. And I'm oh, yeah. I wasn't technically invited, sorry. And they are no, that's totally fine. I love that you're paying attention to this. That's okay. Yeah, look, we don't want to transmit it over the radio, especially because turns out maybe some people could hear this, but yeah, come meet me and we'll go out there together. Yeah, and then what this is, the way I'll set myself up for my next roll is that we go to where this odd, tiny, earthquake type thing seemed to happen. And it is the house, and it is very precarious. It has landed, is it on a cliff? Or is it on top of another house, or between 2 houses? We're in a valley. We're in a valley next to this mountain with the telescope on it. This is also an area that was being monitored. I think, yeah, that means that it's in this big, it's not even on a cliff. It's in the middle of this big field. Maybe, I'm so sorry. This is who I am. The first thing I thought of was like a body farm where corpses are put to decay naturally or in slightly different circumstances to study what the process of decay looks like. I don't think it's that, but it's like something, this big field where experiments are happening. It's a bunch of like metal poles that are meant to attract lightning, and it's in part to pull it away from the telescope as much as possible, but they're also measuring. There are different ones because they're measuring the effectiveness of like, can we gather electricity from this? Can we turn this into something? Which one is most effective? Which one stores the most energy and disperses the least? And so it's just a big weird field with a bunch of metal poles in it, and the house has landed in there.
So I find a book in ye olde occult bookstore. I'm imagining a particular bookstore we have in Toronto that's like in the basement and used to be a head shop before pot was legal and is now just kind of a weird trippy bookstore. So I'm going there. Seeker's Books on Bloor, if any Toronto-based listeners happen to want to check it out. Very not wheelchair accessible. Anyway, going there. Finding a book. Oh, I know. The book says that the demon asbestos smells of sulfur. Hell yes, something smell-based. That's good, 'cause we got dog. We got bloodhound. And it says if you smell the sulfur, that means you're close to the demon's summoning circle. And all you have to do to make the demon pop disappear is to... It's a fire demon, so... put out the candles, obviously. That's pretty easy.
I need to get to the house without getting electrocuted. Because really, they should sort of very carefully turn everything off and drain whatever reserves before a person goes in there. But, you know, there's a big storm coming. And so it's like, oh, it would disrupt this whole thing. So we don't want to turn it off. And I'm like, you know what? I think I can get there. And I am going to be using my hyper-localized gravity manipulation to try and carefully, like, avoid touching the ground as much as possible, which could make me a conductor, and just get through there as fast as possible to get to the house. So, skill, right? That's precision. So I'm going to be rolling 3. I'm using my ability, so 4d6. It is resisted, so 4d6. One has to be a 6. 3... 2, 6, and a 1. Okay, did it.
I'm gonna say, hey, vampire. Hey, buddy. Can you smell any sulfur? Let's track some sulfur, buddy. And I'm rolling 1. Nope. And I'm gonna go super, so I can roll with another. Oh, wait, no, I roll with an extra dice for everything right now. Ha! Yes, and that's a 5. A point of security and 2 points of progress. That was the easiest crime we've ever solved. Good job, puppy. Who's a good boy vampire? Who's the bestest pup in the whole wide world?
Now, I'm torn a little bit here because I have 3 points of control in mind. And I could try to, like, chase that if I could think of a way to, like, engineer this as mine, but I don't think I can do that. I think I really have to, like, roll. I'm rolling 4 dice either way, but I'm trying to decide if I could justify calling this mine. I don't think I can. I think I have to call this heart. Tyrese's, like, preferred approach is heart, so, like, heart feels right. Also, it means that I can get a 5 or a 6, which I think is going to be incredibly helpful, and somehow is still a failure. All right. I'm going to wipe my progress. I'm going to go back to 0, and I'm going to start over.
So, yeah, I managed to sort of half levitate, half run over to the house. And what do I need here? I need to get in. So one potential challenge is like getting into the house. The door is locked. Ooh. So as I'm walking up, I stop moving suddenly and I'm like, oh no, there's a problem. Kind of like how you have to be careful after like a big storm like a big ice storm, power lines are down and that kind of thing, a big windstorm. Let's say you want to get into your car, but there's a power line fell on it and now the car is just charged and you will get electrocuted if you touch the car. One of the lightning rods, that's the concept I was trying to think of, has tipped over and is like touching the door or touching the house in a way that it's like, I can't just go up and like open the door regular style because I will get zapped hard. And I think what I'm going to do here is I want to try to pull the door open without touching it, which like my gravity fields are really localized. So not touching it is difficult, right? But I think that I'm going to make this a power roll. And it's about like, I am putting my hands as close to the door as I can get it without actually touching. And I'm trying to use just the gravity field to like unlatch it and open it, hoping that like I can just fix it from inside, you know? And so I think this is a power roll. I am using my signature ability. I've got 2 in power, plus 1 from my ability. And this is resisted. So 3d6, and one has to be a 6. A 6, a 4, and another 6. I did it. Up to 5 progress.
I think she pauses for a moment and just goes, no. What the fuck do you mean, no? No, why would you think this would work? Do you know how many laws you have just broken? Why would you? This can't be how this works. You know that, right? So starting back at 0, I'm going to shift tactics. I'm going to roll mind, and I'm going to invoke my powers, and I'm going to make Councilwoman Joella a very specific offer. I'm also up to taking the extra experience, putting me up to 8. That is a 6. Okay, great. If I didn't get a 6 here, I probably would have cried on mic. It's been a long recording.
Yeah, I managed to pull the door open, and I get inside. Do I want to try and solve the problem now, or do I want to do one more thing? I think what this is going to be, I'm going to try one more, and I will either get, if I succeed, I'll get a 6 progress. If I fail, I will use the extra die for the like solving a problem roll. So I'll be rolling 66 regardless. What this is I call Sammy and they're like, okay, I'm going to see if I can talk you through setting the device up on a generator. And then because the power supply is different from the generator versus when it's hooked into the grid, I'm going to try and talk you through redoing some of the calculations so that you can trigger it on your end to send it back. This is going to be a mind roll. I'm going to evoke my ability here by this is a homemade science experiment teleporter, and they're like, it works better if like the cable has to be held at a specific angle, kind of like when a charger gets old, you know, and you have to hold it at a very specific angle to keep it in the port or when your phone gets too old. And usually that's not so hard to do because of how the connector to, like, when it's plugged in, that cable is long enough to sort of loop it over something. The connector to the generator, the backup battery or whatever, is much harder because it's shorter. And so I'm using my hyperlocalized gravity manipulation, words, to hold the generator up at the correct angle. Don't worry about it. And that makes this a 1 in mind plus my ability is 2d6. It is resisted, so 2d6, 1 has to be a 6. A 6! And a 5. Wow, okay. They are able to talk me through it. I do think that in part, this is Sammy succeeding on a mind roll, not so much me. They're going to be a great teacher one day.
I think Kelvin steps back, pulls down the mask. Okay, hear me out. What if I gave you a cause? A cause? What do you mean? What if campaigning against the terror that is the vigilante thermal was your cause? You got it on TV, you used it on the pulpit, people already are afraid of me because of the press. That's a juicy opportunity for you. She kind of cocks an eyebrow. You're comfortable doing that? And I'm going to roll 4 dice here for mind plus ability because I think the goal is not to cause damage. It is not to, like, evoke powers in a skillful way. It is to, like, signal that this plan could work. And that's a 6. Okay, great. Additional experience for a resisted roll. And 1 more progress, bringing us up to progress 2. She kind of pauses for a second. Prove it. Okay. And I'm going to roll 3 dice here. I need a 6. That's 2 6s and a 5. Okay, great. That's a 3rd point of progress. That's another experience for a resisted roll. That's 3 progress.
We get it all set up, and here's the thing. I want the problem-solving roll to be a heart roll. Not because I have the most points in that, because I'm using my progress points, but because it won't be resisted, and because I have the most achievement points in inspiration, which is the heart success ending. I'm freaking gaming right now, everybody. I'm literally gaming. And here's the thing. I know exactly why it can be a heart roll, which is that we have everything set up, and then Sammy's like, wait, no, this is such a bad idea. How can I trust it? Like, I already sent my house to the middle of nowhere. I don't even know where it was before it landed in the middle of this field of lightning rods. What if I broke something? I could have really hurt somebody. Oh my God, what if I hurt someone? You know that movie? That really old movie? Have you heard of this? The Wizard of Oz? Do teens know what the Wizard of Oz? Like, I knew what the Wizard of Oz was when I was a teen. It's not like it was a movie that came out in my lifetime. I don't know. Teens. But they're like, what if I dropped a house? What if I dropped my house on somebody? Oh my God, I'm the fucking Wicked Witch. Oh wait, they don't need to know what Wizard of Oz is. They know what Wicked is, because that movie came out. And they're spiraling. And so this is going to be me saying, and they turn off their transmitter, right? And they don't believe in themselves. And I am going to make them believe in themselves. I am talking to them like, hey, no, you're brilliant. The way you were able to just walk me through how it worked shows me that you understand this. You know the rubber ducky test? Where like programmers explain what they're doing out loud to a rubber duck on their desk. If you can explain it, you know it, you understand it. You just did that. I don't know anything. And they like laugh somewhat hysterically at that, like in a nervous, like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, look at me. I spend all my time just bouncing around places. And you were able to walk me through setting up a teleporter that you made, by the way. And it works. You did teleport your whole house twice. You're about to do it for a 3rd time. You can do this. We can do this. Just start the countdown. And I'm going to roll.
So we're at this gross-smelling corporate office, because we've done the warehouse before. We're in this office building. Roof, roof, dog tells me. We gotta go to, of course, the hidden 13th floor between the elevators. So I'm gonna punch in floor 14 and emergency stop at the same time. I don't know how I knew that, but let's pretend I've fought these particular criminals before, and I know that that's the code. Elevator going up, and it ding, and it stops, but instead of opening on the side that usually opens, the other side of the elevator that didn't look like a door opens up, and there's that telltale smell of sulfur. There's some guys in hooded robes. There's some drippy candles, and I'm gonna take out a dog toy thing, some kind of fetch toy, like a Kong or a frisbee. Yes, a frisbee. A legally distinct frisbee type object, a flying disc, if you will, and I'm gonna throw it. Fetch, boy! And I'm gonna throw it and knock over a candle with it, and I'm gonna roll skill for this. Yes! We did it. We knocked over the candle, and the demon asbestos turns to look at me and yells, "Shepherd!" as he turns into a puff of smoke. Then I open a window and the smoke dissipates.
3d6. Just need a 5 or a 6. Or sorry, I'm going to roll 66. 3, 3, 3, 1, 3, 5. Holy shit. Okay, great, good. We're good. We're good. We're good. That felt targeted, right? Like I accidentally said 3 and then I rolled 4 3s. Come on.
as much as I would like to get a fourth progress because I've been rolling so badly at this moment, like, I think that this is the moment where I gotta, like, see if it works. I think this is Hart to see if, like, he was able to make enough of a connection to where it holds true, and that is 2 5s. That is a point of inspiration, and the plan goes off. Tyrese is there just as Councilwoman Joella, like, steps out of her office, waves them down to kind of come inside and have this talk. And then sure enough, on the news later, like, there's a big speech about, like, there's a vigilante that waged an attack on City Hall. We cannot abide this kind of lawless behavior. Click. I can't believe she went through with it. Oh, that's really funny. That's funny.
They set up their little transmitter where they are at the empty lot where their house should be. We count down together, press buttons, and zoop, the house goes back to where it should be. They're right in front of it.
A job very well done. Amazing, everybody.
They come back in and they're like, yay. Any chance you can help me get the utilities hooked back up before my parents come back? And I'm like, yeah, I can give you a hand. And while I'm doing that, a crime is going to happen.
We're going to stop for lunch. We're going to go home. Going to get a pup cup for my trusty canine companion. And then I'm going to see what other things we have to solve today.
Click over to the news to see the next thing that has happened, which I'm going to roll 3 dice on.
Oh, did I succeed on any resisted rolls in that time? I might have. That should have gotten me an extra XP, but I'm not sure. Okay, I'm going to listen back to this afterwards and fix my XP. Wow, okay. Thank goodness I realized that and went back because I succeeded on 5 resisted rolls. So that is 5 experience. Oh my goodness. That would have been very unfortunate to leave behind. Okay. I've made a spreadsheet about it. We're good to go. So I'm helping this kid reconnect the utilities at their house. Mostly doing like labor while they tell me what to do. And we're on the line with people from the city to make sure it's happening correctly. Don't worry about it.
On our way home from our adventure, we discover that the local worried I don't want to help an entrepreneur. Whatever. Worried entrepreneur is having trouble cooking a very important meal. So I'm guessing this person probably owns a restaurant of some kind.
That's a 9, 1, and 4. So that gives us a human weapon. Robbing a science facility. And a 4 is an army of alien juggernaut. Okay. I gotta think about this.
So there's a smart animal. Input from a very stupid animal. Hi, buddy. I often line or veil animal violence, but I guess that's in my control, and I assume that this is a sapient animal, which does make it different. So I guess I will go with a smart animal, which is resistant to mind, which is great because I'm bad at it. Their goal, they are trying to move the neighborhood through time. So the problem here immediately is that most animals I can think of should be allowed to do this. If an animal wants to revert the neighborhood to several hundred years ago when it was a little bit more like their natural environment, I don't blame them. But I'll find a more nefarious. I'll find a more nefarious thing for them to be a more nefarious reason. And how are they doing this? What's their method? Booby trapping hostages. A lot of that going around. I am gonna roll on the personality trait to see what this animal's vibe is. Ambitious.
I think I got it. I think what it is we click over, we see the news report. A Cronenberg Foundation building has been taken hostage by what appears to be monsters from another world. Like extra-dimensional terrors. Kelvin immediately looks over to this like gauntlet that he's been fuddling with and all these notes on demons. And like something doesn't look quite right, but he knows that this is an opportunity for Thermal to make an appearance, make a big splash, and maybe also like be scary, but like clearly indicate that Thermal is like fighting the good fight.
The mental image that I got and cannot get rid of is a capybara in an astronaut suit. So that's what this is. Wait, first I have to look up capybara house. Habitat. What do capybaras live in? They kind of just vibe, huh? So I think it's not a capybara. Apologies for doing #CanCon, but what it is actually is a beaver in a little astronaut suit. Because beavers have sort of iconic habitats, and I think that's gonna play into this. I'm rotating it.
Power is the opposed stat. So like I can't roll power here, or else, especially not because power is like not necessarily my strong suit. I think that I'm going to have to try and think of a way to like use skill and really kick this off like effectively. Actually, I'm going to roll mind here because I think it's strategically shutting down air conditioners, freezing cameras, making the building go dark for reasons that I will reveal if this roll goes well. Also, I'm thinking this through. I'm going to add an additional dice here to represent the fact that I'm specifically trying to like tie into this gauntlet because like I think even though these appear to be aliens, I believe there is some trickery here. I think like all of this, the timing of everything feels too intentional for this not to be tied to this technology and these gauntlets and these things. So I'm adding an extra dice here and I'm rolling for 5s or 6s. That's 1 5 and 4 1s. When I tell you my dice rolls in this are stressing me out to a legitimate physical degree, I cannot emphasize that enough. But that's a point of progress.
We are in the house, getting all the utilities hooked up, and some light bulbs go out, and we have a like, oh shit, was there a power surge? Did we do something wrong? And then realize like all of the other bulbs start to go out, and it's not dramatic. It's that they are just burning out like they're really old, even though they aren't. And this is how it becomes obvious to me that we are traveling forward through time, possibly. Or at least I think that's probably what's happening. And at first I'm like, hey, Sammy, is there any chance that you're a teleporter? And they're like, I don't think so. I don't know. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go see if this is also happening elsewhere. Because if it is, it's probably not your teleporter. So I think I step outside and all of the trees are rapidly... like they're turning orange and the leaves are falling off and everything's just going through the seasons very quickly. We are moving forward through time. And I've been trying to think of like how booby trapping hostages could play into it. I think it's something just like a little insane. I don't want it to be a bunch of kids because I'm thinking of like time travel, like stealing time from people, which would make sense of like kids with their whole lives ahead of them, blah, blah, blah. I don't want it to be kids. And I think that it's actually like this beaver has taken over a retirement home and has like all of the residents of the retirement home like have a weird thing on their bed that is like they're not dead. They're doing okay. They're just asleep and they cannot wake up, and like it's about the life that they've lived. That's what it is. It's not about potential life ahead of them. It's that this super intelligent beaver has attached devices to a bunch of old people and is like, haha, yeah, I'm harnessing the energy of having lived this much life to transport the neighborhood forward in time. Crucially, I think the people are not aging. This time travel is only happening to the neighborhood, inanimate objects. And the villain is monologuing,
The building goes dark, and I get a chance to like watch these things, and I am going to follow that up with a mind roll plus power because I think the thing that I'm learning, I think these are animatronic. I don't think these are actual aliens. I think somebody has built these machines to provide a cover for robbing this building blind. And I'm going to try and shut these down with a blast of cold to their machine parts. It does not work. That is a point of miscalculation. That is going to be an extra dice on my next roll because god damn it. I think that like they start like activating thermal technology in a way that like indicates they are like aware of this and are capable, like, and are adapting. These are technology beyond even my wildest comprehension, which is going to be a problem, which means that I'm going to bounce back to 3. I'm going to bounce to 4 dice here because I'm taking an extra dice from the next action. Experience is great, but my frustration is greater to just try and straight up, like, blow one of these things up in a wave of fire. Well, that's point of destruction, so that's great. This is going so well.
I step outside, I see all of the trees shedding their leaves and everything, and the person from before, the person who I heard on the radio, who, like, brought me out to the electric farm, I contact them directly. No, they contact me. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on, and they're like, hey, just letting you know, some weird stuff is going on and broadcasting on all the airwaves out of this retirement home. And so I'm going to run over there, and I'm in the meantime, like, putting my earbuds in, and they are in fact villain monologuing on all of the airwaves, including just the public radio station, as the radio station is fighting to take control back. Here's why it's a beaver. This is the image that I had immediately. In the future, if we do not intervene, this valley that we're in is going to flood. It's pretty far in the future. We have a lot of time to figure out that the flood is coming and circumvent it, but it will take active work. I'm doing like a GM move of, hey, if your party doesn't do something, here's what's going to happen, just so you know. And the beaver wants the valley to flood so that they can build the fucking coolest mega dam ever. And they're like, I know that if I actually let it play out slowly, you will figure out how to stop this flood. And so I'm not giving you the chance. I'm going to just move the landscape forward, I don't know, 100 years, 1,000 years in the space of an hour. And you can't stop me. Ha 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 ha. But I'm not trying to hurt anybody. You can just evacuate now. You still have time. A little bit of time.
Cool. The building is getting demolished, and I think, crucially, Kelvin also, like, being demolished. Clearly, like, outgunned, outmuscled here, Kelvin's going to have to do something a little risky and try to, like, outthink whoever this is, and I think that that's going to just straight up be, like, trying to, I guess, like, wear these things down, which I'm going to roll mind plus power plus extra dice because, oh my god. Finally, I got some 6s. Great, so that's a second point of progress. Like, I am just, like, I'm outlasting. I am ducking, like, I'm outlasting. I'm, like, lighting fires. I'm freezing things. And it's just about, like, evasion for now. It's just about, like, outlasting for now. Because what I want to do, and I think this is going to be skill plus power, is try and, you know, spot there. And I think what the successful mind roll kind of represents is, like, spotting the patterns a little bit, and now the skill roll is going to represent, like, exploiting those patterns. Oh, and that's a 5 and a 6. Okay, great. That's a third point of progress. None of these have been opposed rolls.
I'm gonna run to this retirement home, and I think I'm gonna do a power roll to get there fast. And I am using my hyper-localized gravity manipulation, so this is going to be 3d6, and one just has to be a 5 or a 6. 2, 4, 5. Thank goodness.
So I understand, like, the patterns of these animatronics. I understand how to exploit them. I am, like, strategically burning wires and things. And I think what I need to do now, I'm going to call this mind and take 4 dice here. Because what I think I'm trying to do, I'm going to use my power to, like, get 2 of them to hit each other and, like, outmaneuver them or, like, outthink them in such a way that they strike each other now that their, like, wires are frayed to, like, cause them to explode. I'll be honest, I really wish that I had rolled skill to just get that 1 more dice. Even if it had been resisted, at least that would have presented the possibility of success. It does not work, gets, like, completely battered, and I think, like, knocked unconscious, wakes up tied to a chair, and I think has, like, one last really good shot to, like, outwit these aliens, which is to say, like, I am going to roll mind here, 5s and 6s, progress roll. Here we go.
So 7 progress. What do I want to tackle first? Do I want to tackle the villain or the hostages? I'm gonna burst into the retirement home and tell the nurses, like, ooh, no, I'm asking the nurses, like, hey, is any of this equipment new? Like, no, okay. They've figured it out. There is new equipment, and they've been hearing this villain monologue about, harnessing the energy of these seniors. And they're like, yeah, we got these monitors, these heart rate or vital monitors from a new company, and they were working totally fine, but we're pretty sure that is how he is doing this. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do this like solve role by convincing them to disconnect everybody from the monitors. Like they're like, no, this is scary, and like also all of this equipment is really expensive. And so like maybe we should wait and figure out how it works. And I'm like, I think we need to do it now. And I'm giving them a rousing little speech about courage. Ooh, what am I need to play on memory. Oh, I know what it is. The villain is talking about how, or has revealed that it is literally their memories that are powering this time travel. And so they're being spent. He is literally this evil beaver in an astronaut suit is spending these memories, and so they are losing them. And I'm like, I give a little speech about memory. I, turn to one of the people who works there, and I'm like, why did you come into this business? Why did you decide to work here? And they talk about how important it was when they were young that they saw their grandmother be really well taken care of and able to like maintain autonomy while being supported. And I ask them, some of their good memories with their grandma, and other people share stuff. And I'm like, and who would you be if you didn't know that those things happened? If you forgot, maybe you'd still be who you are, but maybe you wouldn't. Doesn't that keep you going some days when it's hard? Don't you think of that? And it gives you strength. It lets you be the best version of yourself when you're being tempted to be the worst. Doesn't that help? And they're all like, yes, it does. And I'm like, so we can't let these memories be taken before their time. It's already hard enough. We have to disconnect them now. And I'm trying to rally the frickin' troops. So I'm gonna roll my 7 progress points, 76, and I just need any of them to be a 5 or a 6.
That's a success. Okay. That's a point of control. That's great. Okay, good. Finally. I really, really needed this.
6 right away. I'm gonna get an inspiration point. I win them over. They're all so moved by the power of memory, and they all scatter throughout the building to disconnect everybody from the machines that are stealing their memories to travel to power a time travel device. Of course, classic.
I think what happens here is he's playing possum, right? These alien juggernauts are they're machines. He's waiting for the person in control to come step out, and the person in control, his name is Animatronic. Animatronic, another one of these mutants from throughout Bell City, activated with this power, and I think Animatronic has forge style, invent anything and build super technology powers, which is how he built like a bundle of like robotic alien juggernauts. I think that's the vibe, that's the character. Like emerges and I think is markedly paranoid. I think that this break-in, actually, I'm going to go ahead and roll here to see how much of this information, like, Kelvin is able to get. I'm getting a very clear idea of, like, this guy's motivations, but I want to roll on it first. I think this is just going to be a straight 2d6 mind roll. And looking at the rules, it looks like he is resistant to skill, which I don't love because that is my strongest ability, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to roll 2d6 for mind. I want a 5 or a 6. That's a 5 and a 6. Great. I think that I'm able to, like, discern this.
I'm going to do another roll, just like a regular one, not a problem-solving one, because I would like to solve the problem with another heart roll, because that's going to get me to 6 inspiration points, which means that I could theoretically win on heart achievement, which would be fun and great. And so I don't want it to be resisted to make more likely. And so what do I need to do? I need to find the villain, talk to the villain. Someone comes up to me because I'm like, okay, shit, I need to find the beaver. Captain Tail. I don't know. Bucky. I know that's already a superhero one. There's already one in this genre named Bucky, but Captain Buck. Captain Teefies. And I'm like gearing up to like try and figure out how to track him down using like the signal, and somebody who works here comes up to me and is like, hey, we think you should see something. And they bring me to just like a closet that has been barricaded by a bunch of it's like it should just be an open door frame, but a bunch of wood has just been stacked in there. They just blocked it with a little mini dam, basically. And we're like, okay, they're in there. And the thing that I'm going to do is just dismantle the dam. And I guess it would be power if I'm focusing on that it's like physically difficult, I think, and really just trying to rip it apart. It'd be skill if, be skill because I have to dismantle it without like, I'm trying to be careful as I pull it apart because I don't want to damage the building. I think that makes sense. So I'm using skill to try and take this little mini dam blocker apart. I am using my gravity ability. So that's, oh good, and I'm better at skill even. Anyway, so 4d6, and they just have to be, and one of those has to be a 5 or a 6. 4. 5. Took me a second to check because it rolled under my keyboard, but it was a 5. We're good. And a 3 and a 6. We're good. And that puts me up to 8 progress. Pretty sick.
Animatronic has been hunted much like Thermal has by the Cronenberg Foundation. They have, like, I think been grabbing people and, like, strapping them to, like, alien beacon technology and sending them through portals to have their energy harvested to power whatever engine is going to drag neighbourhood into this space. And, like, is clearly thinking that Thermal is part of this, is part of the Cronenberg Foundation and has been come to, like, take him down. He's trying to grab things to, like, get himself off the record. I'm going to roll 3d6 here because I think I can add 2 points of success. I think I can add the wrist gauntlet and, like, the demon prince on the other side of that portal. I can add all of my experiences to try and forge a connection with this guy. That's 2 5s. That's a success. That's what we needed. I think I can, like, make a connection with animatronic and say, like, hey, I'm on the same side that you are. We're working on this together. You know, you are not the only one being hunted by whatever the fuck is going on here. Animatronic, he takes a step back. He's very struck by this. He's very kind of, like, nervous about this whole thing, but there is an immediate sense of trust. And so, like, I think there is also this question of, like, so what do we do then? Is there a way to stop all of this? And, Kelvin's kind of like, I don't know. I don't have a clean answer here, but I do know you're not the only one dealing with this. But if you wanted your identity wiped, if you wanted to go off the grid, maybe we smash some things up, we find you an outlet to plug into, and whatever magical identity wiping thing you've probably cooked up. Am I right that you've got something cooked up? Well, you wouldn't be wrong. It's just a little something I made in my bed. Don't be facetious here. There's not time for it. Here's what's going to happen. And now I'm going to roll skill. That's 5 dice. I'm adding my power. It is going to be resisted because I'm like, I think we're going to transfer the skill here to, like, Cronenberg Foundation security, but we're still going to follow the rules here, but I'm going to roll 5d6. And I'm somehow going to fail. I think Thermal's too high profile of a target, and I think security is, like, on site now. So that's a point of discredit. Animatronic is markedly unimpressed by this, especially because I've brought, pun intended, heat down upon this moment.
This beaver, specifically, I said I rolled ambitious. And so I think their angle is really just that they wanted this valley to flood so that they could build the biggest, best, coolest dam. And I burst into this room and I'm like, you're already beaten. We're disconnecting everybody now. just come with me. Like, this doesn't have to be a fight. And they're like, no, I'll figure it out. You'll never stop this river. I'm going to build the coolest, biggest dam, and everyone's going to marvel at my engineering prowess. And I'm like, didn't you flood the rec center last year? And they're like, oh, you recognize me? Yeah, I did. And I'm like, we had to tear it down. Like, you diverted water in a way that nobody saw coming and dismantled a huge building. Obviously, you're really good at this. And they're like, yeah, so? Nobody recognizes it. Like, nobody knows. And I'm like, do you think maybe that people don't want to encourage you by recognizing that you're really good at it because you keep doing it in ways that kind of cause untold destruction? And they're like, well, why wouldn't they just say, like, well, you shouldn't have done it like that, but it was really good. And I'm like, I think people would just prefer to not do that, man, honestly. Hey, have you considered, I don't know, getting into, I need to look up,
the goal here was to work with animatronic to like quietly remove this, and I markedly failed. But so now like security trucks are rolling up, people are coming up with guns, and I'm gonna have to deal with this the way that I deal with a lot of things, which is explode some shit with fireballs. That's gonna be 3d6. That's a 5. That's what we needed. That's a point of progress. We're up to 3 progress, which is good. Thermal is catching people off guard. Big giant explosions. I think that to maybe sell this a little bit, here we're going to go back to skill plus power. We're going to roll 5 dice here. To sell what Thermal needs out of the experience, I am going to like try and light up and torch some of these alien juggernauts. I can't believe that failed a second time. That's a second point of discredit. I think what happens here beyond Jeff starts to pull out his hair and takes an extra dice on his next roll is now enough eyes are on this that like and like him publicly lighting things up and doing fireballs and ice attacks, like now people are noticing and we're seeing a lot of eyes on screens. Even if he's behind a mask, people are starting to be like, who is this guy? People in positions of power that are going to come down like a hammer in ways to come.
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking of. Have you considered getting into like hydroelectricity? This town needs a lot of water. Or sorry, this town draws a lot of power. I was just out at the lightning farm earlier. We're doing all sorts of wild stuff to try and make sure that we can keep the lights on here in ways that aren't just destroying the earth more. What if you got into that? And then everybody would be super impressed with you. Because they literally, when they turned the lights on in their house, would be like, damn. Ooh, sorry. They'd be like, shit. This is all because of Captain Buck.
Please, Shepherd. The special on our menu tonight is something cooked in black truffle oil, and I only have white truffles on hand. Please help us. Oh my god, 2 smell-related problems in a row? Heck yes.
I'm gonna roll power again. I think that, like, I'm just gonna, as much as I was trying to, like, outmaneuver these things, I just think I'm gonna have to light one of them on fire. That's a single 5. That's all we needed. That's a single 5. That puts us up to 4 progress. I ignite one of these animatronics, giving an excuse for the others to bail. I have scattered security teams. I'm now gonna roll mind with 4 progress. It is not opposed.
Vampire. I know traditionally this is a pig's job, but you know, you really liked that movie we watched where the pig did the dog's job. So it's kind of like that, but backwards. Can you maybe go sniff out some truffles for us? I'll see if he can make you a special dog-friendly truffle pasta type dish if you want.
And I'm gonna do my solve the problem roll. And this is a heart roll. I'm trying to convince them to use their powers for good. I'm gonna roll 8d6, and I need a single 5 or 6.
That's what we needed. That's a success. This was finally a success, which puts me a 5th point of control. Oh my god. Oh my god.
1, 6,
3,
6,
5,
3,
1.
4. Did it. All good. Mark an inspiration.
That is a successful roll of power.
It works. Animatronic is able to like plug into a machine and, wipe a lot of records, but a lot of eyes are on Thermal right now. A lot of eyes are on Kelvin right now, and he is not happy about that fact.
This brilliant beaver scientist is like, wow, yeah, if I do something that helps people, they'll never forget my name. Evil laugh, evil laugh. And I'm like, yeah, good point. So, will you help us make sure that everybody gets their memories back and we turn the time back a little? And they're still chortling evilly, and they're like, yes, this will be step 1 of my plan of being so helpful that no one ever forgets my name. To repair some of the damage that I've caused. Oh, no one would ever see it coming. And I'm still like, yeah, you do seem unpredictable.
Animatronic disappears, and we wrap our day.
That's it. I'm going to call it for the day.
I think that the thing that we see, Kelvin in his civilian clothes, standing and watching like a mural be painted and thinking like he doesn't know if the funding is going to come through, but like at least there's this moment of like something good came out of a tremendously frustrating day.
I'm like worried about how easily that day went.
Choose between solving permanently the goal or the trouble. Yeah, what were those? That was time travel and finding their way home. I think I'm going to choose to permanently solve the moving the neighborhood through time goal, because Captain Buck is now on our side and clearly, evidently knows a lot about time travel and is in a confusingly villainous voice monologuing about how he is going to use the technology that he developed and was using to anchor the neighborhood in time so that it will be harder to do this in the future. And people are looking at each other in confusion at his tone, but they are applauding, sort of a smattering of applause. And he grins, his big beaver toothy grin, and winks at me. And then I'd give an awkward thumbs up, and I head home for the night. I actually finished my shift all the way through for once this time, and so I am able to just go home.
And I am going to choose a crime goal or a neighbor trouble to solve permanently. I am going to like firm up the relationship here. And I'm going to write down in quotation marks, enemy of Councilwoman Joella. Because I think that the relationship being here is going to allow us to like use that dynamic between us to both get things that we want and get things that we need. I think there's growth there that I think is a very fun and compelling dynamic.
To solve a problem forever, oh, that's easy. We just show the chef where the truffles grow, and maybe the chef also has a dog, and Vampire can teach that dog how to do the truffle pig thing. A little brown teacup poodle that now knows how to find truffles because my buddy told him how.
I've also got 10 experience to spend, and god damn it, I am increasing one of my abilities. I think after today, I am increasing power. I know I've said that I was going to do that. I'm increasing power, which brings me to 0 experience, but is actually going to make my life just a little bit better as we go.
I still don't have enough experience to level up.
I have 8 experience points. Ideally, I'd get to 10 so I can do one of the bigger, cooler things. But most likely this next day will be my final day in this game, so I should spend it. I think what I'm going to do is increase my signature ability level by 1 point. And I'm going to try to remember to use a super point at 1 point, which is something where you can spend a point to add extra dice to a roll by superpowering your abilities, which I haven't even done once. You can add as many dice as you have levels in that ability. So I'm going to make that level 2. And how do I want to show that? How do I want to show myself getting better at that? I think it's something that I felt the potential of when I was opening that door, the electrified door of the house in the lightning rod field, and noticed that like I could be a little further away than I expected. And so I think I get home and I'm just trying to flex and discovering that my hyper-localized gravity manipulation now is both a little stronger, I can pull harder, and the field is a little bigger. Obviously, it's still weaker further away from me, but I can pull books off the shelf that I hadn't been able to before. It's a mess, right? Like I pull all the books off the shelf and I can't be super precise with it. But I wasn't able to do that a little while ago. And so I'm just like training that. And I think that leaves me with 3 experience points. And there is a 3 experience point thing, which is choose an attribute to recover 1 drawback point from. And I think I'm going to take destruction down to 4 instead of 5, which is the power drawback. That's probably like, you know, I broke a bunch of shit, especially on day 1. And this is me like showing up on the construction sites and I'm using my powers to like, you know, I'm lifting materials and all that kind of stuff and just helping to sort of fix the city that I keep throwing spaceships at, etc. And that puts me down to 0 experience points. And I think that's okay because I believe tomorrow we'll wrap it up.
Good night, Golden Pastures. I got all my work done early, and Blue Shepherd is taking a break. Merle Brady is reading a cool book that they found at the bookstore earlier. All's well that ends well for now.
What would your plan be? Come here, let me grab you. Okay, there you go. Oh, big boy. Can you hear that? This has been Folio, an actual play podcast about solo and otherwise self-paced TTRPGs. To find where you can find the show, check out foliopod.card.co. You can find Gwen at Gwen Frankenstien on Bluesky. You can find Jeff at Party of One Podcast and jeffstormer.com. You can find Satah, that's me, at gaygothvibes.online and follow me on Bluesky at satahchips.gaygothvibes.online. Next week, Gwen and Jeff and I will continue our games of Friendly Neighborhood Superhero by Cat Scratcher Studio, found at catscratcher.itch.io. Everything I mentioned here is linked in the show notes. Thanks so much for listening, and take care out there. I have to find a D20. Tabletop is a really big part of my life. I've considered getting a tattoo that has dice in it. But it would be a little disingenuous to get a D20 tattoo, you know? Like, the games that I play very rarely actually use D20s at this point. But if I got D6s, it would look like a gambling tattoo, not a TTRPG tattoo. I could do D10s maybe.